Welcome back to Euro Roundup, where we take all the other results that winners and losers didn't want and a couple of players. And as you can see, I'm doing Movember, Pato. What do you think of my mo?
What do you mean, as you can see? Yeah. Nobody can see it.
Probably not.
It's embarrassing, mate.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, is it the only place on your body that hair doesn't grow?
Literally, it's the only place. It grows slower than my beard does. My beard can take a couple of days. This is like 10 days worth of growing. And nothing's happening. It doesn't even grow in the middle.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
What do you think? When are you shaving yours?
I don't know. I keep. Sometimes I forget for real, and sometimes I forget on purpose.
Well, I can't wait.
Because I'm going to look horrific with a moustache.
I can't wait.
As bad as Hamill.
They need to see McCovens. McCovens is brilliant. And if you'd like to donate, there is a link in the description below. It's for a great cause and it will be greatly appreciated. But Pato, back to the football. Who is our first winner?
Well, this comes from @MattRed45, and he says Romelu Lukaku. Now, Lukaku became Belgium's joint highest scorer of all time this weekend.
Already?
He's now got 30 for the international team in 64 appearances. He got 2 in a 3-3 draw between Belgium and Mexico. So he equals 2 guys, Paul van Himst, who I believe retired in 1974 from the national team, or scored his last goal for the national team then, and Bernard Voorhoff, who I believe retired in 1940.
Oh my God.
So nobody's hit this mark in a long, long time. And to be honest, Lukaku got a little bit of luck to take him there. Belgium were kind of struggling in this game. They actually went behind at a certain point despite the quality. It was a very open match. I believe there were 12 shots on target, whereas a normal game sees somewhere about 8. And basically, Dries Mertens skins a couple of guys down the wing, pings it across the box about thigh height. Lukaku tries to control it, but it just bobbles off his thigh and goes into the corner. The second goal, much more what we expect from Lukaku. Striker's finish from inside the 6-yard area, clips it over the keeper. Lovely stuff. Anyway, if you want to check out the highlights, I particularly suggest that you look at Hirving Lozano, who also got 2. You look at his second goal. He basically has a shot, keeper palms it back out, and he volleys it into the top corner. It's absolutely sick. Incredible scenes.
But let's go back to the big man up front. Apparently 19 of Lukaku's goals have come in the last 2 years, and that's in 22 games. 19 in 22 is not bad. And since joining United, Lukaku has played 21 games for club and country and scored 18 times. He doesn't know when to stop at all. However, the brace ends a 7-game run without scoring. He has been on a recent down form against Chelsea. He wasn't great. I think he had 1 touch in the box, or maybe he had none.
I think
it was something like that.
I think United, though, have only scored like 4 in their last 7 or something after scoring like 21 in the first
I think that's
few.
since Mr. Paul Pogba's been injured as well. But anyway, of United's 157 shots in the Premier League, Lukaku has taken 38. That's 24%, nearly 1/4 of it all. But of United's 55 shots on target, Lukaku has taken 24. A massive 44%, nearly half. That is ridiculous. But guys, how do you think Belgium will do it in the World Cup? Will they make it all the way to the finals? Will they make it to the semis? Or will they not get out of the group stage? Let us know in the comments below. We move on to our first loser, and I'm sorry to any Welsh fans out there, it's Gareth Bale. And this one comes from @Madrid for life. And it's been a long time coming for Real, but according to numerous sources, they're ready to part way with Gareth Bale due to his injuries. The 28-year-old has started only 4 La Liga games this season, scoring in 2 of them, which isn't too bad, and as well as being involved in 3 goals in 2 Champions League games, which is actually very good as well. However, due to his last injury, which came only 7 days after his return, a thigh injury, the club are said to have had enough and want him gone.
Ooh.
The injury will apparently put him out for up to 4 weeks, a whole another month. Again, I don't even want to know how many games he's missed for Real. It could be something ridiculous. But anyway, he's become a bit of a scapegoat for Madrid, as Real Madrid find themselves 8 points behind Barcelona in the league, in 3rd, level with Atletico Madrid. And now it's been over 200 days since Bale, Ronaldo and Benzema started a game with one another. What is up with them? But, Pato, tell me about some more clubs that are looking into the old Welshman.
Yeah, well, obviously, if you put a player like Bale on the market, then you're going to get some interest. And apparently, Man United, Chelsea, and of course, Tottenham are all intrigued by the availability of the Welshman. The question is, why, in a way? Look, he is an amazing player. He really is. But he is injury prone, as we've covered. He's 29 next year. Yes. He'd probably cost about £85 million. That's the rumour. That's an awful lot of money. Yeah. And when you think about what Real Madrid have got out of him, they've got essentially the best years of his career. and he still cost them about £1 million a game in his 159 appearances. That's when you take into account the fee and wages. So you start to wonder whether a team like Tottenham, for instance, would be able to deal with that bill, whereas Chelsea and United maybe be able to absorb their cost a little bit more. He's spent 272 days on the sideline for Real Madrid. That is mental. He's missed 79 official games in that time. He's actually missed 40 of the last 60. So it doesn't look like things are getting better. In fact, it looks like it's deteriorating. And you'd have thought that for a player as reliant on kind of his explosive pace as he is, as he hits 29, 30, these problems may become impossible for him to deal with. You know, we don't know what he'll be like if you take away his athleticism. You know, he's not one of those guys who's potentially going to be able to adapt into more of a playmaker, you know, like a Di Maria or something. Yeah. Anyway, he has been pretty good when he's been at Real Madrid, despite all these injuries. 150 games, 67 goals, 42 assists, 8 trophies, including of course 3 Champions League titles. So you do wonder whether he's worth the gamble. Potentially for a club like Spurs, right? He might be the difference between a title being very unlikely and a title being possible.
True.
It wouldn't guarantee them the title, but I think like if you got Gareth Bale, then you'd say, actually Spurs have got a really great shot at winning the league.
But I think if they get Bale, Real Madrid must get first dibs on someone like Harry Kane or Dele Alli. That's the very interesting point. But what do you guys think? Will Bale go to Chelsea? Will he go to United? Or will he stay at Real Madrid? There's a poll above my head. Vote in it. Tell us what you think. Our next winner comes from Horide27, and we go to Africa for it. And unfortunately, Algeria aren't in there. But Morocco and Tunisia are. Pato, tell me some more about Morocco.
Yeah, both nations have actually qualified for the World Cup now, meaning that Russia 2018 will be the first tournament with 3 North African nations.
Yes.
Because Egypt are going as well. Of course, Algeria did not make it because they're rubbish.
It's not even a joke, we were terrible. We finished bottom of the group.
But the squad's so good. Anyway, let's not get into that. Morocco, though, kind of beat the odds. Like, before they went into their group, you saw they had the Ivory Coast, and you'd expect that they'd have some trouble. But the Ivory Coast these days are managed by Marc Wilmots, of course, formerly of Belgium.
Yes.
And they beat them 2-0 in this final match with goals from Nabil Diarra and Mehdi Benatia. Now, the Ivory Coast needed this win at home to qualify, and they had just 7 shots and 1 on target. Well, I believe that Morocco had 8 shots, not that many, but 6 of those were on target. So they were able to get through the defence so easy, which is weird when you consider, you know, that Serge Aurier is there, that the rest of the team, there's like Franck Kessié in midfield, there's Wilfried Zaha up front, there's also Gervinho and Seydou Doumbia, little blast from the past.
Still going along.
Basically, the problem here for the Ivory Coast was their goalkeeper, Sylvain Gbourho, and he pretty much single-handedly scuppered their chance of going to the World Cup. Firstly, Diarra hits this in-swinging cross, and the keeper like flaps at it, it bounces straight through and goes in. Then there's a corner, he comes out, he retreats, he doesn't know what to do, it goes over and Mehdi Benatia just smashes it in. Morocco, though, you wouldn't really think it, but the squad is starting to look pretty decent. There's Real Madrid youngster Achraf Hakimi, there's Hakim Ziyech, of course, of Ajax, and there's Benatia, as I've said. So there's actually quite a lot of talent there. And it's their first World Cup since 1998. They're in pretty good form going into it. 8 qualifying games. They've conceded 1. They've scored 13. They haven't lost a game. So I'm quite excited to see what Morocco can do at the World Cup.
They look very promising. But you know who also look promising? Tunisia, as they qualified 2 with a 0-0 draw to Libya. They finished 1 point ahead of Congo, who beat Guinea 3-1, though Guinea didn't have Naby Keita playing. Tunisia have missed the last 2 World Cups after making 3 in a row between 1998 and 2006. But Morocco and Tunisia will now join Nigeria, Egypt and Senegal at the tournament. And between them, these 5 teams have lost just 1 game of their 30 qualifiers, scored 49 goals and only conceded 13. However, it does raise the question of does CAF qualifying need to be rejigged to give lesser teams a better chance. Whereas UEFA have 54 nations involved and 13 qualifying slots, whereas CAF have 54 nations involved and only 5 qualifying slots.
Yeah, it seems like there's not really an opportunity, right, for some of the smaller teams. Like this year's slightly different, of course, because Morocco and Tunisia are going, but in the past it's been dominated by Ghana, Cameroon, Senegal, Nigeria, the Ivory Coast. And it means that teams like Zambia, who might be pretty good from time to time, they don't really get a shot. Mozambique, you know, these sort of sides that actually do have like quite a proud footballing tradition, we never really see them at the World Cup. And you think, unless they host a World Cup, some of them have basically got no shot at ever appearing at the tournament.
Indeed. It's like South Africa when they hosted a couple of years ago. But what do you guys think? Should Africa be given more places in the World Cup? And how do you think the 5 teams will do in the World Cup in Russia in 2018? Let us know what you think in the comments below.
Next loser comes from @WR Podcast, and he/they/it/she says that Northern Ireland should be in our losers. This one, pretty self-explanatory, isn't it, Zach?
Yes, Pete Dorman downstairs. FD social media is a very...
Resident Northern Irishman.
Yeah, he's a very sad boy right now. Very sad. But the pitch they were playing on as well last night was terrible. I couldn't believe it. It's like Sunday League. I've played on better. But anyway, yes, Northern Ireland missed out on World Cup qualification after losing 1-0 on aggregate to Switzerland. And after the second leg, their manager, Michael O'Neill, said, "The players are devastated, but I couldn't be more proud of them and the effort that they gave," though it didn't get you to the World Cup. Anyway, their battling performance at St Jacobs Park gave them 48% possession with 12 shots and 5 on target, but obviously none of them went into the net. Johnny Evans, though, was the standout player for Northern Ireland. He made 6 tackles and interceptions, had an 89% pass accuracy, and won all 3 of his aerial duels. He did what he had to do, but let 1 go in. Northern Ireland, though, are the first team since September 2014 to come away from St Jacob Park without a loss. So they've done well, but it was all about the first game, which screwed them over.
They're pretty good. They're a pretty organised side. But yeah, in the first game, I thought they were desperately poor. However, they only lost because of a really dodgy penalty decision, which gave Ricardo Rodriguez the chance to basically put Switzerland ahead. And it meant that when it came to the second tie, the Swiss didn't really need to overextend themselves. Northern Ireland in the first game, 5 shots, 0 on target, while Switzerland in comparison had 16 shots. Only 2 of those were on target, but they had 64% of the ball, so they pretty much controlled all the game. Northern Ireland couldn't do anything with it. And it was just one of those games where Switzerland, once they got that penalty, they were able to just strangle it.
Exactly.
Granit Xhaka pretty much ran it. He made 103 passes, 92% success rate, 116 touches, that's the most on the pitch, 2 tackles, 5 clearances, 1 key pass. So, I mean, basically, every time he was allowed to get on the ball, it meant that Switzerland had control of the game. And so you wonder whether they should have just sat somebody on him and try and press him out of the game, because he's not great when he's pressured. Believe me, as an Arsenal fan, I've seen the guy be terrible. However, in this qualification campaign, we know Switzerland are always good at qualifying, and he's been outstanding. He's created 34 chances during qualification. Only Christian Eriksen has created more with 38. That is pretty remarkable, really. Anyway, Switzerland qualified for a 4th consecutive World Cup.
Done.
That's the first time they've done that since 1958. Well, Northern Ireland miss out on this. This would have been their first finals since 1986. So sad for Northern Ireland, but they are in a much better state than they've been in previously. Yeah. And who knows, they go again. Maybe we'll see them in 4 years.
We head over to our final winner, and it is France, Les Bleus. And it comes from @JDurst1608. Pato, what was the score?
It was 2-0 to France. Pretty impressive performance against Wales, who, as we know, are a decent side, of course, put in a good showing at the Euros. Friendly in Paris on Friday night, and it was a blistering attacking performance. Giroud and Griezmann were starting up front. Both of them scored, hit the woodwork twice as well.
Oh, man.
I think they had 63% possession. They had 19 shots to Wales' 6. There were only 4 on target to Wales' 2, so who knows. But we all think they're going to be one of the favourites for next summer's World Cup.
I'd be surprised if they don't win it.
Well, think about, okay, here are the players who came off the bench in this game. Martial, Nabil Fekir, and Alexandre Lacazette. Absolutely mental.
It's ridiculous.
They won 7 of 10 in qualifying. They lost 1. I'm amazed they even lost 1, to be honest. I don't know who that was against, but I assume it was carnage, probably Bulgaria or some shit. Anyway, they've got Germany in a friendly on Tuesday night, so that'll be interesting to get a bit of a taste of where they might be when it comes to matches against the bigger teams. Yeah, we see them steamroll the easier side, so that'll be intriguing. Chris Coleman himself, very, very impressed. He said that Les Bleus possibly the best side we've ever faced. Big claims from Chris.
It's a massive statement. Yes, Wales are still coming to terms with their loss to the Republic of Ireland last month, which cost them their hopes of qualifying for the World Cup in Russia. This also did prove to be the difference, as they missed out on their playoff spot to the Republic of Ireland by just 2 points. Their manager, Chris Coleman, is yet to confirm whether he will stay in his current role as manager of Wales. He is looking to start negotiations with the Board of Wales after their game against Panama on Tuesday. Now, Wales were without Bale, as we spoke about earlier, due to his injury. So Coleman decided to give the youth a chance in the second half. He gave a second half debut to Chelsea's 17-year-old defensive midfielder Ethan Ampadu, Sheffield United striker David Brooks, and 18-year-old Liverpool winger Ben Woodburn. However, at the end of the day, it was a good win for France, but ultimately, more meaningful encounters are yet to come.
Our final losers this week are Australia. This comes from @TrueBlueCobber. Basically, things are on a knife edge going into the second leg of their World Cup qualifying playoff, isn't that right?
Yes, the Socceroos drew 0-0 with Honduras on their own patch on Friday night. The second leg, as we said, is on Wednesday, but this was a cagey affair. The Socceroos made 100 less passes by half-time than in any of their qualifying games, not only showing their nerves, but also how they fare against better opposition. The pitch, though, it's fair to say, was dreadful. But the Aussies still managed 60% possession, had 5 shots on target, double that of Honduras, though did Honduras have 2.5?
I presume they had 2. Yeah. I presume they had 2.
And a dodgy offside decision against them. But Lady Luck was not on their side. But Pato, where was my boy, Timmy Cahill? Where was he?
37-year-old Timmy
Yes.
Cahill. He was on the bench, and actually they could have used him in this match because Aaron Moy hit 6 crosses in this game. So you'd have thought that you'd want somebody with that aerial ability. No, apparently not. He could maybe have made the difference, so possibly we'll see him start the second leg. The coach, Postecoglou, the Australian coach, he seemed to kind of be looking at it positively.
Okay.
Look, no one likes to play Honduras. They're famously a filthy team. They will kick the out of you. But the Australians, I don't think, mind that. I think they're quite up for it. He said, it was as good a performance as we could expect in the circumstances. We will go hard in the second leg, and we'll have plenty of players who didn't play available to us. So if they've got a bunch of fresh players coming back, you'd have thought they have the quality to go through. If they make it, it'll be their 4th consecutive World Cup appearance. And if we're lucky, we might see the return of the Bogan Aussie commentator.
Can't wait.
Yeah, very exciting times. But the outcome of that one remains to be seen.
So, thank God, it's over. That was ERU. We have no more international football. Next week, we'll be talking about clubs again. Pato, what should the people at home do next?
We've got our new FDFC behind the scenes show going out. I believe that goes out today. So check that out. There's some great, little nuggets, little stuff going on behind the scenes, player relationships, managerial relationships, that sort of stuff.
It was such a good game.
Whatever.
It was such a good game. But anyway, yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.